Welcome live here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are at Pocono Raceway here tonight for the Upper Edge Racing CMC Sportsman Series. The Pocono 200 live on Checkered Flag Interactive. Race number 6 of 23 here tonight with Steve Bonesteel and Shane Doherty up in the booth. You are tuned in currently to pre-race coverage here at the track as the drivers complete their pre-race qualifying sessions here in the open qualifying session. Currently now we have Trevor Rapolo out with the fastest time on track, just under 100th of a second faster than our second place driver, currently Justin Munseal. And the entire top 5 the entire top 10 just separated by moments out here on the track, and still with some time left. We expect some of the heavy hitters of the Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series to be putting down some good times. So you are live on Checkered Flag Interactive once again. We will be back in just a moment to bring you more pre-race coverage. Do not go away. You are tuned in for a good one here tonight. And welcome back here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We have about 8 minutes left in open qualifying here, and you are tuned into race number 6 of 23 of the Upper Edge Racing Crescent Moon Contracting Pocono 200. You are listening to Steve Bonesteel right now, and Shane Doherty will be up in the booth very shortly here as we cover some of the pre-race coverage and bringing you a few things about this very tricky triangle here in New York. So Pocono Raceway is in Long Pond, Long Island there. And this track is a very interesting, it's a 3-corner track. Basically, it's one of the larger triangles comparable to Phoenix, only Phoenix is about 3/4 size smaller than this. So definitely Phoenix is much smaller than Pocono Raceway. This is more comparable to what you might see at a super speedway, and the corners will give you some of the racing you might see at a short track. This track was opened in 1971, and it's been around for a long time. It can hold almost 77,000 people on any given weekend here. So this track is definitely going to bring a lot of action here tonight in the Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series, as it always does. Expect some green flag runs, and we will get the action underway very shortly. You are back here live with Checkered Flag Interactive. We have our in-race reporter Bronson Stafford, driver of the number 20 Ford Mustang, up in the booth. Bronson, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Steve.
Going into this race, there's a lot of variables that are going to come into play. Green flag runs are definitely the most important, I would have to say. Bronson, what are your expectations when it comes to green flag racing for this event here tonight?
I think Pocono is definitely known for some green flag runs. I'm hoping we can get a run in, at least, maybe a green flag pit stop or so. It's going to be hard to say. It's a little tight, little loose. I think we'll really find out how it's going to go, I think, after maybe 5 to 10 laps, and we'll see where the setup will take us from there.
How do you guys feel about the setup? What's the general consensus from the other drivers out here tonight?
I think I'm hearing the same thing from a couple people, that it's in general a tight setup, but since we're downshifting to third gear in turns 1 and 3, it's a little bit loose coming off the turns. Turn 2 is a little bit tight, but that's because you're still in 4th gear. So I think we'll have to see what tire wear will do with that, if we'll downshift, or it's kind of the same thing all up and down pit road, though. It's weird. It's little adjustments.
Well, this is one of the larger fields we've seen in a while here for the Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series. A lot of newer drivers out in the field, and in comparison to what we saw last season in the Truck Series, where everyone was making their first debut in this series. What is your opinion on some of the new drivers? We really haven't talked about them all that much this season, but we'll take this opportunity now. 6 races into the season, are you feeling pretty comfortable with the new guys that are in the series?
I would definitely say so. I like a lot of the new guys. There's a lot of the guys from last season too. Some of them are really, really fun to race with. Fayash, a really good example. He's a pro driver. I mean, race with him, learn as much as you can at all times. I think the only person that I might have a problem with might be the 4 car, but I think if you remember last week, there's kind of a reason for that, but we'll end it on that.
A couple more things as we have some time here before we get down to the grid. with this season underway and the rest of the schedule up on the board, are you happy with where you are on points? You're in a pretty good spot so far early in the season in comparison to how the Upper Edge Truck Series last year kind of fell apart for a lot of drivers, where pretty much everyone except the top three just found a lot of bad luck, and somehow the top three just escaped it so many times they were able to get a big separation on everyone else. How do you feel about where you are in comparison to the leaders right now?
Honestly, I feel like I'm in a pretty bad spot. I've had a lot of bad weeks, not of my doing, or I've just the weeks that I have ran good, they've been good for us. It's just we have to start stringing finishes together. I think a race and a half back already because Fayash is just 4 to 5 races. It's going to be hard to catch up to that. I think we feel okay. I think we can probably sneak in to top 10, maybe mids by the time we kind of come down to it. But honestly, I think at this point, if Fayash keeps going the way it is, it's going to be really, really hard to catch up.
What are your opinions on racing with these drivers like Fayosh, Hartenfels, Hoover, and what do you think about RCA racing as a whole this season? I mean, they've been so consistent. I mean, all of their drivers are in the top five right now. Do you really think that the time they're able to spend together out in practice sessions, even with it being a fixed race, is really playing in part to that? And with it's the biggest team in the league when you come and look at it, what do you think about that?
I definitely think them having that whole operation where they kind of practice together, all of that, it definitely does help. They are flat out probably the best team of the season. Um, I know my team personally, Speed Demon Racing, consists of me, Mike, Mark Murphy, and Shane Therian. So we actually have 4 cars like they do. But there's something we're not catching on to yet, I think, with our program because 2 of us will run good, 2 of us will run bad, kind of on a week-to-week thing or just luck struck. So I think what they had going over there is definitely very, very good, and I love racing with the guys. I know I had a run-in with Andy, I think, at Vegas, but we've obviously moved past that, and he's still fun to race with. All of them are, so.
All right, that definitely sounds good. Thank you for putting up with this interview here, and I wish you the best of luck here at Pocono. And definitely, if I can give you any type of advice, it's to make sure you stay out of trouble because we will probably have green flag runs, and let's hope that we do because yellow flags here are definitely brutal. So good luck to our in-race reporter, Bronson Stafford, driver of the number 20 Home Depot Ford Mustang.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, here momentarily, the drivers will be getting down on the grid. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Do not go away. We've got the start of the race coming to you momentarily. Back live here at Pocono Raceway. As the drivers get down on the grid, we want to take a moment bringing up a snapshot of what the point standings look like right now. We've got Andrew Fayash. He's won, I do believe, 4 races now out of the 5, which is incredible. He won the first 3 here in the Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series. Even with a very brutal finish a couple weeks ago, he's able to maintain that lead. He's 13 points ahead of Austin Hartenfels, Corey Hoover, Andy Glazik, Ryan Dyson follow up. There you see how many points they're behind on your screen. And then you've got Joseph Tice, and they're in 6th place, and he has 44 points out. And he's got a lot of ground to make up. And you don't even see our in-race reporter Bronson Stafford out on that list on your screen. However, I would like to note that where he is, he's only roughly 10 points out from moving into the top 10. From about 7th to 17th on the point standings, they're only separated by under 10 or practically 15 to 20 points. So, very interesting point standings at that standpoint. But here the drivers are rolling off. I'm going to toss it over to my partner in crime, Shane Doherty, and he will be able to run through the starting lineup.
My pleasure. Starting on the pole tonight, Austin Hartenfels into his outside, his teammate, Corey Hoover. Starting 3rd, Andrew Fayash III, and Ryan Dyson to his outside, and 4th. 5th will be Trevor Apollo, and Leandro Schmidt will start 6th tonight. 7th, Justin Unseal, welcome back to him, and also welcome back to Mark Murphy, starting in 8th. Starting in 9th, Mark Rapolo and Andy Glazik complete your top 10. 11th, Bruce Ackerman. 12th, Bradley Burke. Starting 13th, Riley Grant Davis. 14th, Stuart Lebosco. Dalton Alexander's going to roll off 15th. 16th, Shane Perrion. 17th, Joseph Dyes. 18th, Sean Powell. 19th, Chris Scala. Mike Finlayson's going to start 20th. 21st, Tom Bourne. Bronson Stafford, just talked about him there, starts 22nd tonight. Mario Gerard starts 23rd. 24th, Michael Thompson. Camilo Gomez starts 25th. 26th, Mike Tellier. And Corey Blevins will start 27th tonight.
And here, we talked about it briefly earlier, but Pocono is quite the beast, Shane. This is a very fun track to race at, but it's not so fun when you're not having a good night. RCA Racing taking quite a few top spots here, as you mentioned. So as these drivers roll through the final corner, they get ready for the pace car to peel on down to pit road, and we will be taking the green flag here tonight for the CMC Sportsman Series Pocono 200. Live on Checkered Flag Interactive, the pace car lights are off, and it will be diving down pit road with the very abrupt turn, green flag in the air. We are racing here at Pocono Raceway.
It's going to be a long time before they get into turn number 1. The longest straightaway we go to in this series is to go all the way down into turn number 1. Going to be a little bit crazy in the back half of the field, but up front it's pretty clear as Austin Hartenfels gets the advantage over Corey Hoover. And it looks like we already have a caution on the speedway in the first turn.
And it looks like our in-race reporter Bronson Stafford finds himself in trouble as we pull up the replay. Doesn't look like it started with Bronson, actually. We've got a very hard wreck with the number 5, the number 32, and the number 97 sliding into it. So we're going to take another look and see what happened there. Here they are once again going down the front stretch. You see them doing everything they can to get situated there. The number 5 dives it in the corner, overcorrects hard into the outside wall, collects the number 32, which sends them around. The number 20 got into the outside wall. The 97 slides through it, no damage for him. That would be Mike Tellier there. So very, very brutal accident going into turns 1 and 2 there, and unfortunately our in-race reporter got involved in that one. Now the thing is here, Shane, unlike Bristol, when you get damage on your car, as we look at the right side of the number 20 there, this is a very downforce important track to have good downforce at, and getting right front fender damage is going to not only kill your cornering speed, but it's going to affect your top speed as well. So now the number 20 with that right side damage, he finds himself in a pretty not a good place to be, especially on lap 1 of this race. So we'll have to check in with him later after he gets some of that damage fixed and see how he gets things going here.
Yeah, especially down the straightaways, and these are long, long straightaways, and it's the last thing you want to have is fender damage, especially. But as long as Bronson's able to fix some of that damage, he's not out of it yet. This track's known to be a wreckfest type of track at times, and if you have a car at the end, it really just depends. There's a lot of room, but the racing group's pretty small here on the iRacing service at Pocono. And I do have to remind you guys, this is the old version of Pocono. iRacing does not have the new version, the new paved version yet. So you're racing on some legendary surface tonight.
Another thing we mentioned before we went green here, cautions can be brutal, especially when we have cars that need to get their laps back on the track. So with it being so early, we won't have any cars that need to get their lap back, but it's still going to be quite a while before we go green flag racing. So these drivers here having an extended caution period, they're going to make things tough all night long, going to make it so drivers really don't want to get cautions, and cautions can be tough to get here, especially with the large infield grass areas. If you spin off into those areas on the racetrack, it doesn't usually bring out a caution.
Yeah, that can be a very unfortunate situation if you come off the corner, maybe lose your car, go into maybe the inside guardrails we have around here at Pocono Raceway. That would be really unfortunate, but as you said, Steve, the car will not come out for that. You're going to have to drive your car all the way out of all that grass, come all the way back on the track, and then back up to speed. Then again, lap long here, 57 seconds, times 58 to 59, so almost a minute around this track, and you have time, but doing something like that could really impede your progress for the night.
As we've got a moment here, it's time to preview the schedule that's coming up here in the CMC Sportsman Series. Thursday, January 8th, after we take a 2-week break here, we've got the Upper Edge Media Montreal 200 at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve there, and that's in Canada, 45 laps at that road course, so it's going to be an interesting race. I know Montreal is definitely one of my favorite road courses on the service and to watch in real life. And I don't know how you feel about that one, Shane, but it's going to be a great race. After that, we go to Richmond International Raceway, and then we go to Michigan International Raceway, my personal home track. Then we go back to the short tracks, Iowa Speedway. That's January 29th. Then we go to a super speedway at Talladega for the Freak Nation 200. And that's just previewing a few of the upcoming races, and I'm pretty stoked for those races, Shane.
Yeah, you're getting a nice mix in there of short track racing, road course, as you said, and then obviously the bigger tracks and super speedways. Really just a nice month coming up in January for this series, and you're going to have to perform at all types of racetracks in this series with over 20 at all kinds of different track variations, and strong January to get the early, still young part of the season onward is a very good thing to do, and especially tonight. We don't go back to Pocono, I believe, so coming out here tonight, getting the best finish you can is really the goal on everyone's mind.
Here, as we're still under caution, we should be getting the one to go this time by. As we already mentioned, cautions are very brutal here. They are very long, and that's going to allow for drivers to also save fuel. And it's going to probably make this race a one-stop race, I do believe, Shane. Depending on how cautions play out, you can usually make it to about lap 30 in the B car here, either that or 30, anywhere between 30 and 35, I do believe. And if we get a few cautions, these drivers won't come down pit road, or they will get the opportunity to, and then we might just only see one stop here when we usually will have to see about 2 in the B car.
Yeah, I think it's a crazy ratio of, like, you save 4 laps of fuel per 1 lap under caution, which is crazy amount of fuel. To consider you only save about half a lap at most tracks, and that really can help you on fuel mileage, especially with track position being the key. At this race, it's not necessarily fresh tires at point, especially if you're like in the top 5. All about that track position, and being able to make it on fuel for quite frankly most of the race is the biggest thing on these guys' minds, and another thing that keeps you out of trouble. There's bound to be a lot of it tonight.
One thing I'm definitely looking to see is these drivers probably, if we do get green flag runs, we will see some drivers go around into the infield and into the grass, and it will not bring out a caution, and that's going to make things very tough. As you mentioned, roughly 58 seconds around this beast of a racetrack. However, with that being 58 seconds, that's a lot of track position you do have to make up, and of course if a caution is to come out, you will be able to make it up quickly. But you go over into the grass, you get some damage, you're going to find yourself in trouble. So we're definitely going to have to watch that as the race goes on. But the pace car lights are off, Shane, and we head down the short straightaway here to get ready for the green flag. Pretty much the official start of the race now that we've had that one caution taking out a couple drivers. That's going to basically reset everything up at the front. We've still got Austin Hartenfels on the inside with Corey Hoover on his outside to get this thing started.
Yeah, after that first caution, 26 cars started, only 24 on the lead lap. Joseph Thies, Michael Finlayson, the two victims of that previous caution, and they will have to battle back here in these coming laps. It's a long race, 80 laps around this track, and we're going to come around to complete only lap 5 as the pace car pulls off, and we're ready to take the green.
There we go, green flag is out. The leaders are away, diving down in the turn number 1 and 2. It's a drag race for the entire field, 2 by 2, down this long straightaway, into the corner, away we go. Look at the backfires coming out of the car, the flames shooting up in the air. Very slow first corner here. These drivers definitely got to get their cars woed down. The outside line is the place to be. As you see, the field still too wide going down this longer of the two back straightaways we have here. Ryan Dyson on the outside of Austin Hartenfels around the tunnel turn. These drivers on the end now be able to prevail. Going down the next short straightaway, you're going to see a lot of drivers who really have that tunnel turned down. Really will crank this straightaway out, make their passes going into the corner here. You definitely need to make sweeping entries to most of the corners at this long racetrack. We've got a car down on the apron and cautions out.
Yeah, that looks like to be the heavily damaged car of Michael Finlayson. He apparently has had some problems there in the apron, and iRacing decided to throw the caution there, and that will freeze the field once again.
Yeah, definitely not sure if he was just sitting there to let the field by or what was going on, but the number 32 sitting there did end up bringing the caution out, and we are back under yellow flag here after just about half a lap of green flag racing. Well, with that being said, Shane, we're going to head over to our first commercial break of the night. Do not go away. Checkered Flag Interactive will be right back with the Upper Edge Crescent Moon Contracting Pocono 200. We are back live here at Pocono Raceway for the CMC Sportsman Series Pocono 200. You are live with Checkered Flag Interactive, Steve Bonesteel, and Shane Doherty, as always, up in the booth bringing you the action. We are under caution for our second time here tonight, and we are set and ready to get the green flag. The pace car lights are now off as we get ready to go back racing here at the Tricky Triangle. Race number 6 of 23 for the CMC Sportsman Series. We have some more great racing for you here tonight, so now that you're here, get your popcorn ready, get your sim racing drinks ready, because it is time to go back racing. And now the pace car lights are off. As we said, these drivers are now getting their fingers wrapped around their steering wheels, and maybe even some of them around their joysticks and controllers, as it's possible here on iRacing. I definitely hope not. Not an enjoyable experience. I remember when my steering wheel decided to go down on me, I had to do that for a little while, and it was definitely not fun, so there's a little bit of comedic relief there. Hopefully none of these drivers are having that issue. But here the pace car lights are off. The number 28 is now on the inside line with Corey Hoover on the outside as we get ready to take the green flag. I will turn it over to Mr. Shane Doherty to get this race back underway.
Green flag back in the air for the second restart of the race, and third start, I guess, to the race with the start there going into turn number 1 with the wreck back under green here, and they head off into turn number 1. As you said, Ryan Dyson's now on the inside. He's going to have the advantage going into the corner, but now they're wrecking in the back. Andy Glazik goes around it, another caution, big wreck in the back, several cars involved, and oh man, we can't make it a couple turns there.
Pulling up the replay here, going down into turns 1 and 2. Andy Glazik gets turned around. He comes back up onto the track, taking out the 16, the number 7, the number 27, the number 1, and a slew of other drivers back there at the rear of the field. We are going to go on board with the number 27 here, diving down into turns 1 and 2, taking a look at what it looked like from his view. You see Mario there in the number 27. He didn't get too much front-end damage, but then he got rear-ended pretty hard, and that will pretty much put an end to any hopes for a solid finish for him. However, if we get more cautions like we are right now, you might just see some of these drivers with damaged cars be able to make their way back up towards the front, but here we are once again under caution, and we haven't even had a single full green flag lap. Shane, this race has been brutal so far.
Yeah, it's going to be a while here, and really, if you're going to want to make progress, you're going to have to make it through the rest of the track and actually get some green flag laps in here. It would be nice to see some racing, but I guess the guys up front, really, the guys 1 through 4, I would say, and I guess 5th, including Leandro Schmidt, would like to sit here for a while, because they are your top 5, and they're up there just kind of cruising around right now. Haven't really had to have done much through the race, make it through a couple turns, and the caution keeps coming out, and the danger zone's in the back half of the field right now. If you're back there, you're susceptible to being involved in wrecks, and apparently turn number 1 continues to be the nemesis here of this early start to the race.
We are going to head off to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. Checkered Flag Interactive will be right back. Back live here, Pocono Raceway. A couple drivers towards the back of the field, diving down pit road here, topping off on fuel, maybe getting some damage fixed. Definitely in need of doing that, as we've had a pretty rough race to get things started here. We're 15 laps in, not a single green flag lap. That is partially in part due to the way iRacing does cautions here. If it were me, I would have had single file restarts at least so we could speed up the caution process, but either way, that's besides the point. So definitely here, these cautions last on average anywhere from 4 to 5 laps, depending on if you have lap down traffic or not who need the wave by. Definitely iRacing should have some type of feature for league administrators to skip through some of the the whatnot and have like a one to go command. Definitely there's a lot of simple things that iRacing should do that they have not done, Shane. Same with green, white, checkered, so we'll definitely just have to wait. However, what they did add was a lollipop holder man, and he's animated now, and he tends to do the crucifix in front of your car. So that's a nice feature they added.
It's interesting to say the least, but it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, for me personally, coming from NR, I would really like to see animated pit crews sooner or later here. But I know iRacing's working hard on different things, including dynamic track surfaces. So we'll let them do what they want to do because it's their service, and then again, they are the developers. So eventually, things will start coming out, and iRacing is progressing. It's nice to see, and we'll look at the future for future things to come.
And either way, we are ready to go racing. The pace car lights are off as these drivers get ready to dive down back into turn number 1 and 2. Hopefully everyone's got their P's and Q's nice and aligned there, their ducks in a row, whatever you want to call it here. The pace car is going to be diving down, making the very abrupt left turn down pit road. We take a look, and we are away, double file into turn 1 and 2.
It's pretty funny because once the pace car pulls off in front of the field, the green flag drops and you can hit the gas, and it's pretty surprising. Really no strategy, and looks like Ryan Dyson got a little bit of the better jump there, but here comes Corey Hoover on the outside just powering by. Here comes Austin Hartenfeld as well. That outside really proving to be the advantage there in turn 1.
We even had some 3 wide there going through 1 and 2, diving down into the tunnel turn, things getting single file towards the front. And we're just going to have to watch how that plays out. One simple mistake here will allow someone during the long straightaway periods to dive underneath of you, as you see Fayash doing there now to Ryan Dyson on the number 28 as they go through 3 and 4. It looks like Ryan will keep to the high side, not letting Andrew by. So once we get back to the straightaway, Andrew might be able to make the pass, but I've got a feeling that outside line might pay off for Ryan, as we've got the number 27 back into the wall at the very tail end of the field. No harm, no foul aside from the damage on his right side, but the draft for the majority of the night will keep most of the field pretty much together until the tires really start to get wore out or these drivers start to make mistakes and get damaged. But right now we are single file towards the front, and people are pretty much getting ready to ride, it looks like, Shane.
Yeah, they're starting to get single file, and it's nice to see. This is a really cool track, nonetheless, to watch cars just go around it. The Tricky Triangle, it's one of the coolest looking tracks still left on iRacing, and really cool to see these guys go around here. We're actually starting to see some of the leaders up in the front shifting, going into turn number 1, getting down into 3rd gear, trying to get those RPMs up, coming off down the corner. I know they shift in 1 and in turn 3 here in real life, but on the older surface, these guys are shifting in 1 in the B car, making things just that much more interesting.
Something that you see in the IndyCar that you don't see here in these stock cars, and you do occasionally actually, so I guess I did lie to you. In the IndyCars, you will definitely see a lot of drivers trying to break the draft, and it looks like that's what they're trying to do here. And in reality, all that is a game that's just going to simply, I hate to say it like that, piss the driver off that's behind you. So while I would never find myself really doing it, we see drivers already trying to break the draft here. It's a little bit early in the race to be doing that, and to be honest, it just makes you look stupid this early on in the race to try to do that, because it puts yourself in a very bad situation, Shane. You cut someone else off, and that ends your night right there, as you see Andrew Fayash getting loose off the corner.
Speaking of breaking the draft, Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfeld going to the inside wall, blocking each other. That's interesting. And they're still swapping it side by side for the lead there. They have pulled away from this pack we were talking about there. Andrew Fayash III getting loose off turn 3, saves it. And he's still running up there in the 4th spot and just clears Justin Munseel. Justin taking a little bit of a break from the Upper Edge Racing League, back here tonight and running well.
Yeah, he was definitely a front runner quite often in the truck series, and then he took a break, Shane, but now he's back. Not sure if it's going to be permanently or just for a couple races here, but either way, a lot of drivers here. I do know for a fact a couple drivers Ethan Lane is not going to be here tonight because he was running the A Open race, the big strength of field race. So some of these drivers prioritizing keeping their iRacing Pro hopes in front of the Upper Edge Sportsman Series. I mean, it's hard to make that choice between your league and between your pro license. For the majority of everybody, that's why you join iRacing, unless you're really here to purely have fun. You will do everything you can to go pro. I know, Shane, I know you went for pro, and I know tonight you even ran the big strength of field race, and you were barely able to make it in for the broadcast. So, I mean, pro licenses here, and just the chasing of the pro license is pretty much what we all come here for.
It's a pretty exhilarating process, no matter if you're in pro, if you're out of pro, just looking at it. Obviously, tonight starts that whole process for a lot of you guys looking for that license. It's pretty exciting, and like you said, Steve, some of these guys, they want to go for pro, and they want that badly, but for others, this is their pro series, the Upper Edge Racing League. This is their chance to shine, and this is what they enjoy to do on their Thursday nights, and they're showing it here tonight. Is a lot of great racing here. So we're watching Andrew Fayash III go around Ryan Dyson there for the third spot.
Yeah, one thing about Pocono, when you do have larger packs, and with the way the draft works here, and it keeps packs of drivers generally with each other, it pays off for some great racing. It allows for a lot of 2-wide, 3-wide, and multiple lines can come into play here as the race goes on. And right now you see these drivers all single file, but for the majority of it, they're all in a line. There you see about 3rd to about 10th there on your screen in packs of 3 diving down in the tunnel turn. This corner specifically is my very good turn. I struggle in 3 and 4 there, but turn 2, the tunnel turn, I am just so good, and it seems to be a lot of these drivers seem to be doing well here, and that's kind of where they game their time. However, they're struggling in the passing zones in 3 and 4. And I'm not sure how you feel about the tunnel turn, but it's my favorite turn here, Shane.
It's a very interesting turn. Pocono's really unique because turn 1 is very different from turn 2. Turn 2 is very different from turn 1 and 3, and all 3 turns are unique. And you usually like one turn but hate another. And for me, definitely, I do enjoy that tunnel turn. It's an easy turn to screw up, though, if you don't know what you're doing. And we're seeing guys like Austin Hartenfels and Corey Hoover hit those marks lap after lap, pulling away from the rest of the field. But turn 3 really seems to be the nemesis for me, and for a lot of these guys as well, as we're seeing multiple drivers get loose off turn number 3. The car just doesn't agree with that turn, and you have to baby it through turns 3 there, and just gotta kind of hope that it comes off the corner straight, and you can carry as much speed as you want down the front straightaway.
As we look back up to the battle for the lead, you see Austin Hartenfels now on the bottom line trying to get to his teammate Corey Hoover. We saw the two of them battle it out all season long last season. Right now, Andrew Fayash and Justin Munseal are starting to make a run back up towards the front as they dive it down 2 by 2 into turns 1 and 2. Austin is going to have to check up a little bit sooner than his teammate, the 33, who will be able to get the momentum off of the corner, arcing it very well there. So that's going to keep Austin Hartenfels in second place as Andrew Fayash tries to chase these guys down.
Yeah, he actually, Andrew Fayash III actually caught your 2 leaders there that last time by, but they were side by side. This lap they will not be because Austin Hartenfels had a little bit of a slip up in turn number 1. Allows Corey Hoover to pull away a little bit, but now we're seeing Austin come back in the second half of this run. So he gets a little bit loose off, but he has really reeled the gap back in all in one lap. They're pretty much back to bumper to bumper.
It looks to be that Austin's really strong in 3 and 4, and it looks like Corey's pretty good in 1 and 2. 1 and 2 sets you up for the shorter straightaways, and then 3 and 4 gets you set to go down the long front stretch, as you said, the longest one on the NASCAR circuit. So definitely the layout of this track, the geography of this beast of a tricky triangle, definitely playing into the hands of Austin Hartenfels as well as coming against him at the same time.
Yeah, Justin Munseal really picking up the pace as well. He's in 4th, but he's right behind Andrew Fayash III. They're bumper to bumper, trying to catch they're trying to catch Austin Hartenfels and Corey Hoover, who are also bumper to bumper, but now side by side as Corey Hoover is on the inside, but Austin's trying to take that spot. They're both side by side. They're going to be, looks like Austin Hartenfeld is going to lead that lap.
Austin will drive down the front straightaway once again. It's a drag race down into 1 and 2. Now Corey Hoover will have the inside. He's going to slip up just a little bit there, going to have to check up to keep off of his teammate on his outside line. Now they go down the inside line. Corey Hoover's going to have the preferred line going into the tunnel turn number 2, the one we've been talking about quite often here tonight. And it's going to be that drag race. Now Corey Hoover, as I said, going to have that preferred line. He's going to dive it down underneath his teammate. Austin's going to pin him down the best he can. He's going to have that run down this shorter straightaway that we've got here at Pocono. That's going to play into Austin's hand. He's going to have, it really depends on your driving style, but the preferred line for him, it looks like on the outside there. He's going to get that momentum down the front straightaway. It looks like Corey Hoover in number 33 there is going to have to drop behind the 29. We'll just have to see how long that lasts.
Yeah, these guys have definitely been kind of going back and forth with it, and that's allowed Justin Mansell, Andrew Fayas III to catch back up. Starting to see Ryan Dyson try and pop his way back into this picture. He's running all by his lonesome in 5th with no one around him, so this could potentially be a 5-car battle for the lead here before long.
Yeah, definitely looking at that number 29. He's out in front now, but Justin Mansell and Andrew Fayas, as you said, trying to move up the best that they can. And now that these two leaders have been battling, that's really allowed them to start making that move. Ryan Dyson's fallen off of that draft, but he's sitting in 5th place. If all 4 of these cars start battling, that might allow him to start getting his way back up there, because battling does hold you up by a 1/10 or 2 a lap here because of the massive way this track is laid out. It really cuts down your momentum down those large straightaways. So, with that being said, it makes things very interesting all the way around the track, Shane.
Yeah, there's all kinds of places to watch action here at Pocono Raceway. It could be literally anywhere on the track. You could look turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. They're all passing zones. They're all just who has the better car that can make the run off the corner and have that straightaway speed to get off the corner and pass your opponent cleanly. And starting to see these guys of Andrew Fayas III, Justin Mansell make their way up to your 2 leaders. And I mean, if they've gotten up this far, who's to say they're not going to get any farther than that? I'd say it's going to be a nice battle here for the lead once we get there. But for now, they are just about half a second off your 2 leaders of Austin Hartenfeld and Corey Hoover.
Just as you say that, we've now got a battle shaping up from about 6th on back. Trevor Rapolo making a move on the inside of Shane Terrian. Move him up past that 10th position. Trevor's going to be on the inside here. These drivers getting really loose, so Trevor's going to fall back on the straightaway. It's going to be the drag race we have seen so many times here tonight so far. 28 laps into this race. A strong run so far by Leandro Schmidt, one of those drivers last week at Bristol who had a good opportunity in hand and found himself in trouble. Mark Murphy also having a strong run there, trying to break away from this pack in the number 48 car. Going to take a moment here and hop on board with our 2nd place driver, Corey Hoover. You are riding on the CFI Gyrocam. Take a moment and just kind of watch how much the Gyrocam goes back and forth, even on the straightaways. This track with the old surface, as my partner in crime mentioned earlier on, still very bumpy, not a lot of grip here, and it's pretty much one line as you're going to see him dive down underneath his teammate here going into 1. This battle's shaping up. You can hear him shift down there into the 3rd gear, running all the way down by that curbing, which is no longer there, Shane. So when they do, I do believe they did rescan this track, and I'm not sure if it's the resurfaced version or not, but I definitely hope. But there you're going to see Austin get the lead once again as we dive down in the tunnel turn. As we said, the camera tilting just a little bit there going down the straightaway. Not a lot of banking in this high-speed corner. You're going to hear a lot of letting off here, and that is going to allow Austin back into the lead as they dive down into 3 and 4. And once again, you're going to hear him downshift there. Look at the car in front of him, the flame shooting out. That's a signify that he's off the gas, probably shifting down. A lot of movement from the number 29, getting very loose coming off the corner.
Yeah, especially you're shifting down from 4th to 3rd gear while the car is still turning. That is a huge amount of wheel input that you're going to have to correct, and it's a difficult process. This is one of the toughest tracks on a driver, especially if you're competitively shifting, trying to go for the lead. I know all these guys pretty much shifting at the exact same time because they're making the exact same time out there, pretty much nose to tail, and they're having to work. This is definitely not as easy as it looks for a long track like Pocono.
We hop onto the back bumper here, taking a look at the number 33 behind our leader, that angry Chevy Camaro. Those cars look pretty angry, don't they, Shane?
Yeah, those Camaros, though, I have to say, I do know the Ford Mustang is getting a new nose for 2015, so who knows when iRacing will get that on the service. But the Camaros, for the longest time, at least in my opinion, have been the best-looking cars in NASCAR, period, and I'm even comparing them against the A car. But still very slick design for that Camaro, and they definitely look cool out there up front, especially when they're 1, 2, 3 at the moment.
The interesting thing is, Shane, iRacing has come a long ways with their partnerships between multiple brands of manufacturers there. As you see, a little bit of a bobble from our leader. As I was saying, iRacing originally pretty much on the NASCAR circuit only had Chevy products. I mean, all of the late models were Chevy, all of the C's, the B's, and the A's were all Chevy Impalas or some version of the Impala or the older cars. So definitely, it's all been Chevy up until about a year and a half ago when they added the Ford Fusion to the Gen 6. A few months later, they added the Ford Mustang, and then a few months later, they came out and said the Toyota was coming out for the Gen 6 version. So iRacing has definitely come a long way getting the brands recognized, and I really do believe it's because iRacing is definitely recognized a lot wider now. Just recently, iRacing was approved to go onto Steam, and they're in the process of getting their listing on Steam there, and that's going to allow a lot of not so much sim racers to get experienced here in iRacing, and that's going to add a completely new realm to the sim.
Yeah, that's a huge marketing move they made there to go out there, get Steam, get on Steam, and now have a chance to be successful with that move, and that's a really good step for iRacing in the right direction. I know you have to be pretty much a racing fan to hear of iRacing in some way or form and fashion, and now people who might not necessarily be into racing on Steam and might be into your typical first-person or third-person shooter might actually want to come on and now race cars for the ones, and obviously have a chance to explore so many different types of race cars and racetracks here on iRacing. And if NASCAR is what you want to do, this is a great league to join in the Upper Edge Racing League running the nationwide car.
It's crazy, Shane, when you think about it. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I see people playing Grand Theft Auto, doing LCPDFR, police simulation add-on videos, and they've got like Driving Force GT wheels. And as the number 25 there, Justin Monsiel, hits the wall, that's going to be very, very bad for the number 25. A lot of right side damage for that, maybe even a little bit of toe damage there, Shane. But as I was saying, some of these guys never heard of iRacing, never tried a NASCAR game, never tried any type of racing game other than what they've got on, say, Grand Theft Auto or something like that. They've got Driving Force GTs very capable of being used on the sim. A lot of pro drivers use that wheel specifically, but they have no clue what iRacing is. And now that it's going to be on Steam, it's going to be available for them to see and try it out. And I think it's going to be a big move. It's going to allow for a lot more exposure. And these people that have racing wheels just laying around their house for other things than simply racing games, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Interesting note to point out that Austin Hartenfels is pulled away from the rest of these guys up here in the top 4. Corey Hoover's kind of fallen off a little bit. He's about a second and a half back. But Andrew Fayash III has moved up to second and is trying to track down your leader, Austin Hartenfels. And he's got Corey Hoover right behind him. But there is Justin Monsiel in 4th, hanging on.
As he gets very loose coming off the tunnel turn there. Wow, what a save.
Yeah, the car naturally kind of wants to correct itself off turn number 2, the tunnel turn, and yeah, you get into that corner, carry a little bit too much wheel input off the corner than the car would like. It will snap on you a little bit, and you're going to have to jerk the wheel a little bit to the right, kind of overcorrect it to straighten it out, and Justin does a great job there. usually not an untypical thing to see, really. It's more often, happens more often than you think.
You are live once again on Checkered Flag Interactive for the Upper Edge Racing CMC Sportsman Series. Race number 6 of 23. For some reason it's not quite updated on the right side of the screen. We will wait and see how the telemetry gets updated there. But we are going to head over to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. Checkered Flag Interactive will be right back here at the Tricky Triangle. Back live here at the track. We spoke too soon about not having any cautions. The caution flag is out for the 4th time here tonight on lap 37 of 80. Pulling up what happened there. I do believe Shane has a report on the caution.
Yeah, it was lap 36 coming off turn number 2. You had the number 2 car of Bradley Burke get into the number 4 of Leandro Schmidt. They were battling for about the 7th place there, and looks like Bradley Burke might have gotten into the left rear quarter panel of Leandro Schmidt, and it turned him around, and that's definitely going to be a caution there that was on the racing surface.
The replay is up on your screen. You see there, already took a quick look at it. You saw the number 2 got a great run coming off that first corner. Just a slight tap in the rear and around the number 4 goes. And he does everything he can to stay off the inside wall, but Leandro's not going to have much luck doing so. Pretty hard hit on the front end of that car. That's going to slow it down quite a bit down the straightaway, Shane. Unfortunate for him, but we're almost to halfway, and we're under caution once again.
Yeah, I guarantee you see all the leaders on pit road, and it's a long run, so we'll see pretty much everybody on pit road. There are 20 cars on the lead lap out of the original 26 that started this race. So should see everyone come down, 4 tires and fuel, and get another chance here.
There you have it. There goes the field down pit road.
See the number 38 car of Shane Terrian goes around on pit road. That can't be good. He's sitting in the middle of the pit road service, but he's around. Good to go. And Leandro Schmidt gets sideways into his box. A little bit of slip sliding here on pit road. A lot of crazy stuff.
Looks like Andrew Fayash will win the battle off of pit road. Austin Hartenfels would be second. Ryan Dyson third.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there coming off of pit road, and a lot of guys having a little bit of problems. They're getting into their pit boxes. Shane Terrian went around. Leandro Schmidt kind of went in an awkward angle, so that's going to be unfortunate for him, already involved in that caution. But nonetheless, that is going to be a huge pit stop, as we said, for Andrew Fayash III. He should assume the lead, pending, of course, that Bradley Burke up here pits. He has stayed out along with Sean Powell and Mike Tellier. for the time being.
Yeah, definitely, Shane. I don't see any reason they would stay out. Their last, I mean, they've had 7 pit stops, so I'm not entirely sure when their last one was for sure. But these drivers out here, if they haven't pit within the last 20 laps, they're definitely going to need to here, and I do expect them to come in. And it doesn't look like the top 2 will be coming down.
Definitely an interesting call there. I would have not thought that they would decide to stay out, but nonetheless, Sean Powell, Mike Tellier will be your new front row here, and that was a pretty long green flag run. They must have come in on earlier pit stops and saved a little bit of their tires, perhaps, and now they're out there up front. We're going to have to see how that does for them as the rest of the field is on 4 tires and fuel.
As we pull up the top 10 on your screen right now, you've got Sean Powell in the lead, Mike Tellier second, involved in that first caution, Fayash the third, in third your points leader, Austin Hartenfels fourth, Ryan Dyson rounding out the top 5, Corey Hoover 6th, Trevor Rapolo 7th, Chris Scala 8th, Shane Terry in 9th, and Mark Rapolo 10th. We have 2 drivers officially pretty much retired out of this race. Michael Finlayson there, he will be sitting around 25th, or as everything cycles back around, he should fall back to 26th. And then you've got Corey Blevlins there and Brad Pummel. One thing I would like everyone viewing this at home, head over to the Twitch chat right about now while we're under caution. Take a moment before you go get some more popcorn, refresh your beer, whatever you gotta do. Tell us what you think of the broadcast. Do you like it? What can we do better later? You know, give us advice. Tell us what you think. And if you're interested, we've also it's the holiday season. Checkered Flag Interactive wants to give a little bit back to our fans. Head over to our Facebook wall and look us up on Facebook. Checkered Flag Interactive. Give us a wall post. Tell us a little bit about your league. Tell us what car you run, what day you run here, as we see these guys that were up front. They now are diving down. Tell us a little bit about it. And as long as you make your wall post before December 25th, Christmas right there at midnight, so at the end of Christmas, make sure you have your wall post in. Tell us a little bit about your league, like I said, and you will be randomly thrown onto a program and chosen between all of the other wall posts, and you will receive 1 free broadcast. And also with that free broadcast, the only charges that you might be applicable to are the track and car fees. If we do not own the track or the car that you are wishing to run, that would be $5 for each content piece. So regardless, that's only roughly about $10, since our broadcast fee is only $5 for those 2 things right there. So it's worth it for the $10. Get your own broadcast, and it's gonna look pretty good.
We are double filed up here, ready to go back to green flag racing. We will actually be halfway at the line, surprisingly. So halfway down, halfway to go here for tonight's race at Pocono Raceway. Andrew Fayash III is your leader, and looks like Austin Hartenfels is going to be second on the inside, and Ryan Dyson will be third, along with Corey Hoover and Trevor Rapolo up there in 5th spot. Nice comeback for him so far. And this is going to be an interesting restart here, Steve. Whole new part of the race. As the first part's down, we got the second part left to go. Will we see something different that we haven't seen so far tonight?
Only time will tell, Shane. Pace car pulls down, green flag up into the air. We wait for our leader to get away. Austin on the inside line, getting a little bit of a jump there. We are green flag racing once again.
First time for a lot of these guys being up toward the front, so this could get dicey going into turn number 1. But Andrew Fayash III showing that outside line is superior. and he will take the lead and pull away, but here comes Corey Hoover again on the outside. Seems like he's been working the outside lane all night, and he takes away that second spot from his teammate of Austin Hartenfels. Starting to see Chris Scala up there in the fourth spot, or the fifth spot, I believe now, as he got around Mark Rapolo and Trevor Rapolo. He's having a nice run up there. Started 19th up to 5th.
Quickly here, the majority of the drivers doing the best they can to get single file. You see Justin Munseal very high in turn 3 and 4 there. Not sure if something happened to him coming off the corner, but he will fall back in line there. The majority of the field, like I said, still single file, trying to stay up towards the front here. Mark Rapolo diving down underneath Chris Scala there, and the number 88 trying to make the move going into 1 and 2. He's not going to quite have the room, so he's going to back off.
Really good run there for Chris Scala, though, up to 5th spot, as we just said, and he's had some bad luck here as of late, and he's running nice out here tonight, and really about just being toward the front here at Pocono Raceway. If you can stay up front, out of the wrecks and out of all the chaos that happens on the back half of the field, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself a solid finish, and that's what some of these guys need to get back up there in the point standings and ultimately do the best they can.
Austin Hartenfels trying to make that pass there on his teammate, just not quite getting the momentum he needs on the bottom line, so he will drop back in the line.
Yeah, but both Corey Hoover and Austin Hartenfels are starting to reel in Andrew Fayash III, but Ryan Dyson also coming back into the mix. He kind of fell off that first long run we had and wasn't really toward the front half of the field, at least for the top 5. When the run was over, the top 4 had pretty much pulled away from him, but now here he is up here in 4th, right back where he was to begin the last long green flag run, up there in the 4th spot, running with his teammates of Corey Hoover and Austin Hartenfels, and they're all pretty much neck and neck up there, all 4 cars battling for the lead.
And this field is still trying to battle out for some positions here. When you're fresh on good tires and you're all backed up, that is your only chance to really make a move and get up there, because once the field gets strung out, it is so hard to chase people down there. You see Corey Hoover getting a little bit high in the corner there, trying to get that run on Andrew Fayash, going down the long straightaway here towards the tunnel turn.
Looks like Andrew Fayash III doing a nice job, though, holding off the charge there from or I should say from Corey Hoover and Austin Hartenfels, and starting to pull away a little bit there. And they are, all 3 of these drivers, along with Ryan Dyson, are gapping the rest of the field here by a pretty substantial amount, as we've seen before. They seem to be the 4 cars that have the greatest chance to win tonight. But ultimately, who's going to have that longer run speed to keep the car going as fast as they can around this track as the tires wear out?
Justin Munseal trying to make the charge back up to the front after getting damage on that last run. He's now looking at the Rapolos in front of him, the number 9 and the number 3, running sister cars there. Both of those cars running pretty well here tonight, and they've really improved their finishing throughout the season in comparison to the Truck Series last season. Trevor Rapolo there having a pretty rough start to the season, though. He's falling back in the points just a little bit compared to where he was, but right now he's running solid up in 6th place, so we'll just have to see how his night plays out here tonight at Pocono. Justin Munseal's got Shane Terrian coming up behind him, so he definitely wants to make his way around the number 9 and the number 3 as soon as possible. And it seems that he's getting held up by these two drivers. Justin Munseal, of course, he was up in the top 3 for the majority of that, or not really top 3, the top 4, I guess you could say. But he is looking strong even after that damage.
Yeah, some cars doing a nice job just kind of trying to come back from their damage. I know Andy Glazik got some damage, and he's up there at 13th, but his car looks to be a little bit more hurt than we thought. And as you said, Bronson Stafford before got involved in a wreck. He's up here in 12th. But ultimately, if you really tear up your car, you're not going to have a good chance of finishing toward the front here tonight. It's going to be the drivers who keep their car clean and keep all 4 fenders on it that will have the greatest chance here coming home with a top 10.
They're now on your screen. We still got that battle with Justin Munseal, Shane Terrian, and the Burpolos out in front of him. Mark there in the red number 3 Camaro has some front end damage, and that should be slowing him down, which might be actually playing in role to the part where they are kind of seemingly holding up these guys as Shane Terrian breaks loose, goes to the bottom line there. He's going to look to go around the number 25 of Justin Munseal in 3 and 4. But we're going to look back up to the lead where we've got a battle.
Yeah, pretty good battle up there for the lead as Andrew Fayash III is kind of getting teamed up there by Austin Hartenfels and Corey Hoover. Corey was pushing his teammate Austin down the front straightaway, and they almost made contact there with Andrew Fayash III, but they are nose to tail pretty much. And if I'm Andrew, I'd be looking back and watching those two teammates pretty closely because they are about ready to make a move here for the lead.
And we'll see how this battle plays out. If they just ride in line, that might play into hand, and they might be able to pull away from the rest of the field. Ryan Dyson still struggling to chase him down, 2 seconds behind Corey Hoover, the last car in line of the top 3 right here.
Slideways off turn number 3 are your leaders, but Andrew Fayash III using that outside lane to prevail over Austin Hartenfels. Austin seems to be a little bit faster, but he can't get that run off turn number 3 down the long straightaway that he needs to make the move for the lead, and he will stay in second right now. Try again with that move. Good battle here between these 3 cars.
As these cars rip back down the straightaway, everyone looks to see if they can get single file, which they have been for the majority of this run here. And if they get single file, maybe they might be able to communicate over the driver's radio, shout out and say, hey, let's just ride for a moment, let's go catch these leaders, let's go do something other than just ride here and battle it out. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, however, that is what I would do, Shane. As we see Austin go to the bottom side, all the way down to the curb.
Yeah, this time Andrew Fayash III kind of got a little bit wide off turn number 3, but he will keep that spot nonetheless. He'll use the power off that turn and down the long straightaway. That outside seemingly impossible to pass on out of turn number 3, and Andrew Fayash III keeps that lead and extends it a little bit going down the straightaway. So that's going to be a really interesting battle here. Will Austin eventually have the speed off the corner? And just as I say that, Fayash gets into the wall, and this could be a lead change.
That's going to make things interesting as Corey Hoover dives down to the inside line through the tunnel turn there, and that's going to allow Austin to also go underneath. Boy, I don't know how this is going to play out going down in the 3 and 4. Corey Hoover down on the inside line now. Austin's got the inside also behind his teammate there. And we've got a car down on the apron. The number 7 sitting there, not coming to a stop, so it doesn't call out a caution like it did earlier for the number 32. But we still got that battle for the lead, and even with that damage, Fayash is hanging strong.
Yeah, he's using every last bit of speed that outside has right now. I don't know if his car is hurt from hitting the wall, but I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see how that car reacts to the damage. He does have some right front damage. Hit the wall pretty good off turn number 1 that last time by. but he keeps the lead and powers around Corey Hoover. Really impressive move there. He must have got a lot of ground up in the downshift. They do downshift in the third through one and turn 3, I believe. So Andrew Fayash III perhaps using that technique as his possibility of holding the lead here as these guys continue to be slideways off every turn.
And still going 2 by 2 and 3 and 4. We do not know how much fuel these leaders took on that last pit stop, but you have to assume they took a full tank, Shane, because from where we were, you can just barely make it to the end, and that's assuming you have one more caution in that period. So we'll just have to watch and see, and maybe we'll get a shout out from Bronson Stafford here as the run goes on, and we'll talk to him and see how his run and how his opinion is on the fuel strategy here on what could very well be the final green flag run of the race if we continue to stay green.
Yeah, how about Bronson's got a little bit of damage back there in 13th, but nonetheless that car is still running strong, and that's what you have to do in this series with so many races. Points mean a lot. You cannot just back down and accept a bad night because you had a tough start. They're in 13th and fighting hard, trying to keep that car inside the top 15.
Trevor Rapolo has now broken away from Shane Terrian, and Justin Monsiel, I don't see him up there. He is on pit road, it looks like, Shane.
Apparently, he has come to pit road. That's an interesting call, and I have not seen any service to be done on that car, so I don't know necessarily if he is maybe taking a chance to top off or what. We're going to have to double check that because he is away from pit road.
Yeah, whatever he was doing, it took him over 46 seconds to do. I didn't see the right or the left side go up. So, interesting to maybe get a hear on maybe what happened to him there.
But nonetheless, Justin Monsiel will find himself down 1 lap, and actually 1.5 laps as they're 3 wide into a 3 for the lead. I don't know if that's going to work. Austin Hartenfels backs out, thinks better of it. But they're pretty much ways off turn number 3. I should say sidetracking is a better word for it. And Andrew Fayash III is still holding off the duo of Corey Hoover and Austin Hartenfels. Really fantastic racing here for the top spot.
And really got to tip your hat the number 77 of Andrew Fayash there. He has been so dominant this season. He's currently your points leader even after having a pretty bad race a few weeks ago. That number 77 won the first 3 races of the season, which is definitely something to be proud of here with those heavy hitters, Austin Hartenfels, Corey Hoover right behind him, all the drivers from RCA Racing. Corey Hoover, your Truck Series champion from last season. Austin Hartenfels had a very close follow-up with him there in second place that season. Almost was able to get the win after getting wrecked, though, with 2 races to go. So now we go side by side once again as the drag race is on down the front stretch. And then we've still got this battle going on from 5th on back as these 4 drivers seem to slowly be chasing down Ryan Dyson there, who is kind of falling off of that lead pack. These drivers right here running about the same times as our leaders are, so we're going to have to see if they might be able to track those leaders down at some point. It's just so hard to call, Shane.
Yeah, good shout out there to Bradley Burke, though, running in the 8th spot. He is the only car I've seen being involved in an accident before that has been able to come up and run in the top 10. So good call for Bradley Burke. Started 12th, still up to 8th place despite being involved in a caution here earlier on in the race. And he's put himself in a good position to possibly get a top 5 out of this because he's literally staring at it right in front of him. But going back to Ryan Dyson, he appears to be a little bit better on the short run, but when the long run comes, that car really struggles, and he's starting to feel the effects of that now almost dropping into the clutches of Trevor Rapolo.
We are going to head over to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. Checkered Flag Interactive will be back live at Pocono Raceway for the CMC Sportsman Series Pocono 200. You are back live here on Checkered Flag Interactive for the CMC Sportsman Series Pocono 200. And we've just now pulled up the running order on your screen. 58 laps now complete. Andrew Fayash leader by over 0.3 of a second. Corey Hoover and Austin Hartenfeld second and third. Ryan Dyson fourth. Trevor Rapolo fifth. Now getting passed by Mark Murphy. Moved the number 48 up a spot. Trevor Rapolo 7th, Bradley Burke 8th, Chris Skellen 9th, a good run for him, and Mark Rapolo falling back on this run, now running 10th.
Field really spread out here. We kind of expected that. The longer you go, the more spread out, the more the better cars start to show, and really seeing that out of your top three cars, Andrew Fayash the third, Corey Hoover, and Austin Hartenfeld. By far the class of the field. They've got Ryan Dyson and gang down over 5 seconds. And they seem to be the three favorited drivers in the rest of this race to possibly win this one. But there are still battles and positions to be had around the track, and we'll continue to update you on those situations.
We don't usually do this, but now we are on a long green flag run. The number 20 is all on his lonesome right now, out on the track, doing the best he can after being involved in the first caution we had here tonight. Bronson Stafford, it's Bone Steel up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yep, I got you, Steve.
Sorry to bother you while you're out there racing, but how's the car feeling after being involved in that first wreck where you pretty much had nowhere to go?
It feels alright. It's, right front's kind of torn up. It's really difficult to make it turn, so just trying to hold on to it. I mean, it's nice to get a long green flag run. It just sucks it comes at the expense of my damage, so it's kind of like I can't do anything with it. But I mean, trying to hold on to it, it's alright.
I see Andy Glazik there in front of you. He's one of the cars that got damaged early on. Do you have much hope in being able to catch him? His car looks pretty much damaged just like yours is.
He's actually just hitting pit road right now, but it's kind of been up and down. I see on fresh tires I'm able to do a little bit something. I can kind of pass a couple cars. They'll catch me back a few laps later. The good thing about this is I'm not really overdriving it, so I think my tires aren't falling off quite as bad as some of the others.
One more quick question, then we'll drop you back down into the race channel. With the pit stops now just starting, how is the fuel load going to look for this final run here? What's the strategy for most of the drivers out on the track?
I think we're looking at being about 5 to maybe 10 laps short, and so I think most people are probably going to take about half a tank of gas, maybe a little bit less, maybe 2 tires. I think 2 tires might be a little risky though with the looseness through 1 and 3, but I think we'll see how it plays out.
There on your screen is our in-race reporter. Loses the right front there going into the corner, Shane, and he ends up into the outside wall coming down pit road now.
Yeah, definitely tough situation there for Bronson Stafford. That may or may not have been a flat tire, to be honest with you. It kind of just went right, but we'll have to see.
We're going to pull up the replay there and take a look at what happened as he goes through 3 and 4. Yeah,
you
really.
See the car just kind of like landed all of a sudden and hard in the wall. I didn't even see that the first time, and that's a huge blowout. Has to be.
Yeah, that really has to be something similar to a blowout, Shane. Usually when iRacing has a blowout, you'll see that right front really drop down. And it's kind of weird because the front of the car really did just land all of a sudden, and into the outside wall he went.
Nonetheless, he was able to nurse it back to pit road. That was close to pit road, so he kind of caught a break there. Didn't lose nearly as much time as he would have if it would have been in any other part of the racetrack, but they got 4 fresh tires on that car, and he is back out there and going to try and soldier on through the rest of this race.
But now we've got the battle back going on for the lead here. All 3 of these drivers, Austin Hartenfels, Andrew Fayosh, and Corey Hoover, back side by side racing it out.
And Austin Hartenfels now on those fresher set of tires, deems it's his chance to go out there and see if they can get the lead here early on in the run, because when you got fresh 4-sticker tires, you can do amazing things, as they like to say, and he doesn't get the job done there. He loses a little bit of ground. Here comes Corey Hoover now to the outside, and these guys are going to have to make their minds up sooner or later if they're going to decide if they're going to try and get by Andrew Fayosh III, or he might just walk away with this.
Only time will tell here, but the laps are starting to wind down. All the races at Pocono Raceway always seem to be pretty complicated as the nights go on, but this one specifically has been tough for some of the drivers out here, being involved in early cautions, getting a lot of damage from those cautions, and not having any follow-up cautions to really get that damage fixed.
Here comes Corey Hoover to the inside. They have pretty much given up on trying to move to the outside, and he almost doors Andrew Fayosh III. Has to hit the brakes there. That was almost catastrophic for the leaders, but it seems like they're trying that inside line constantly and constantly trying to force a mistake on the hand of Andrew Fayosh III, because basically one lap Austin will go to the inside, then Corey will pass him, and he'll go to the inside, and they continue to try and see what they can do, and so far that outside lane with Andrew Fayosh III is prevailing.
And this time, going into 3 and 4, Austin gives his teammate a shove on the back bumper. That's going to push him into the corner, but it's not going to come very effective as Corey's extremely loose coming off the corner.
Yeah, it was a good save, but because of that, he's going to lose some ground, and Tellier, possibly fresh off the road, is going to go by him. He is a couple laps down there, but here comes Austin again to the inside. He's going to dive it down, try and use that curb for extra grip. Not going to work, and Andrew Fayosh III has just kept his ground and been solid all night. And whether he's had the fastest car or not, has been leading a bunch of laps on that outside lane.
Very hard racing up here at the front. Incredible racing. Pocono always gives us some great action here on the track. Just taking a look at now Austin on the inside of his teammate, looking to make that pass, even with that loose condition a couple laps ago. Now he's going to get sideways. Austin's loose off the corner, and he saves it. What a save.
Corey's save was pretty ridiculous, but Austin Hartenfels made a pretty sick save as well, and I don't think the right rear tire is going to like that but he does still have a race car left, so good job by both those guys, and you cannot fault them for effort here. They are trying their hardest to get around Andrew Fayash III, but that outside groove is not only better than the inside groove, but is taken at the moment because Andrew Fayash III isn't going to budge, I don't think, from that groove.
Oh, Andy Glazik hard in the wall.
Yeah, tough break for Andy Glazik, and I don't necessarily know what that was about, but he did have right front damage beforehand, and it looked a lot like a couple incidents we've seen before here. Just kind of got wide off the corner and absolutely pounded the wall in front of the leaders, and he's still out there in the 13th spot, but he's going to get ready to get lapped here as that car is pretty much all but destroyed in the right side.
Pulling up the replay there on your screen as the caution comes out. We're going to pull up what happened there.
And it looks like Ryan Dyson's night may or may not be over, and it is. He's on his roof on the infield. That's a tough break. The caution is out.
Pulling up the replay now in 1 and 2. He's battling hard with Shane Terrian, as he has been for quite some time out on the track. It looks like he just started to kind of lose the car coming up off the corner. Not entirely sure what. Oh, and his engine just... He must have missed a shift when he was going through. He must have downshifted there and ended up causing himself a problem. We'll have to go on board to confirm that, but it definitely looks like he downshifted Shane on accident instead of going up through the gears.
Now, listening to this very closely, we're going to see what happens. He downshifts.
We are
No,
on
he
board.
didn't even shift. He got down into third gear. Sorry to interrupt, Steve. He didn't even shift into fourth gear, didn't hit the rev limiter, and the car just gave up. Maybe all the taxing on that transmission finally got to that car, and he went around there. That's a tough break.
Yeah, that one is incredible. Let's take another look on board. Really not sure what happened. We'll have to maybe see if we can get him up in the booth here and see if we can get a report. But either way, that's going to set us up for an incredible finish, Shane.
Yeah, this has just completely changed the outcome of this race, at least that we thought was going to happen, and now we're going to have a legitimate chance to see who has the better short run car and who has the better situation at the moment, because we're going to have less than 10 laps to go when we get to green. But what I think is going to happen that's going to be key here is pit stops. What the heck are they going to do here on pit road that's going to influence the outcome of this race, as the pace car will come off turn number 3, and the cars that want to pit will have the opportunity to this time by.
Only a couple cars coming down pit road.
This is the money stop for the crews up front. Andrew Fayash III, Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels. The race could be decided by their pit crews. They're pitted right in a line with each other. Let's see who gets off the jack first. Corey Hoover's going to get off the jack, and he will be the winner off pit road there. He beats Austin Hartenfels, and Andrew Fayash III's crew does not come out with a good stop. First to third, he's going to have his work come out for him here on the restart.
And we have just now pulled up Ryan Dyson to the booth to see if he's got a copy. Ryan, you there?
Yeah, I got you guys.
We cannot figure out exactly what happened to you there coming down that straightaway. Do you have any insight on what happened? It's just so hard to tell from up here in the booth.
Honestly, guys, I don't know. I didn't miss a shift. I know we've been shifting all night, and I didn't miss a shift. I just, coming off the corner, it just let go. The car just kind of lost power for a quick sec, and then I looked at my rearview mirror and there was smoke, so I tried to get out of the way, and unfortunately I caught Bradley, and I feel bad about that. But I don't know. I'm really upset. I definitely had a top 5 car, ran there all night, and then I don't know.
Now, one thing I do have to ask, were you using the clutch when you were shifting?
Of course.
Yeah, Big 10-4 on that. Definitely intriguing to see what happened there, and you can only ask yourself if iRacing really does have random mechanical failures based on the usage of your car. I do know if you don't use the clutch when you shift, eventually it will kill your motor there, but if you're using the clutch, then I'm not sure what happened, but very unfortunate for Ryan Dyson, driver of the number 28, having a very strong night here at Pocono in the CMC Sportsman Series. Sorry about your luck, bud.
Yeah, thanks for the interview, guys. I just thank Bond Recreational and Upridge Media and Driven Steering Wheels and all the sponsors on the car and stuff. And we'll be back in a few weeks after the Christmas break, Montreal home event, and take her there.
While you're still up here in the booth, how do you feel about that road course? Is it going to be one of your stronger races? How do you feel about the team? RCA Racing has been strong all year long. You think that road course is going to be an exciting one?
It'll definitely be hard to beat Corey and Austin there. They're exceptional on road courses, like aliens on road courses, but you know, we'll see what we can do. We've done some testing with all 4 RCA guys, just some private testing on the track, and I love the track. I know the track. I definitely feel like I have a good shot at it, so I have lots of time to work on it over the Christmas break, and definitely thought I had a top 5 car here, so we'll carry that momentum into Montreal and hopefully bring one home in the home crowd.
All right, 10-4. Thanks for coming up in the booth, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And that right there was the number 28, Ryan Dyson, driving the London Recreational Racing number 28 here tonight. Well, Shane, let's get things reset for you now. We've got the number 38 of Shane Terrian. He is out in the lead. Trevor Rapolo second, Bradley Burke third, Mark Murphy fourth, Leandro Schmidt fifth, and then we've got the drivers who were leading this race for the entire race: Corey Hoover, Andrew Fash, Austin Hartenfels, and then Dalton Alexander creeping his way up into the top 10.
Yeah, pretty crazy exchange there under the caution. Andrew Fash III goes from leading all the way back to 8th place here. When we get the green flag, this is going to be an interesting restart for him, along with Austin Hartenfels, Corey Hoover. They've been the 3 cars fastest all night, and they're going to be mired back in traffic with cars on older tires, cars with damage, cars that have not been anywhere near the front that now are. And that's just going to make this restart that much more chaotic. It's definitely a restart you do not want to miss.
New sponsor out on the number 2 this week. Shane, I would like to mention 24 Designs has jumped on board with the number 2 of Bradley Burke. You've seen it on quite a few cars here at one point or another during the Upper Edge leagues, but here he's got himself up into 4th. A little bit of nose damage that's going to hurt him when he's out in front of cars, but we've got the number 48 on his outside with the Circle Alliance number 48 Ford Mustang. So we've got the Ford Mustangs on the outside with the Chevy Camaros on the inside. It's going to be one of those restarts, Shane. Everyone's got their eyes down onto the track. All the fans in the stands are on their feet, and all of the drivers have those belts tightened one more time here at Pocono for the Pocono 200 race number 6 of 23. We are green flag racing once again.
Good start for the outside lane. Shane Terrian gets the roll with Mark Murphy right behind him. and that's going to help Corey Hoover and Andrew Fayas III. As I'm kind of lost for words there by a second. Because
Leandro Schmidt going around!
Leandro Schmidt around. Chris Scala's going around to the wall. Caution's out. Huge wreck in the back half of the field. That is what we feared would happen, and it just did.
Pulling up the replay, going into 1 and 2. The number 4 got into the back bumper of Bradley Burke. That sends him sideways in front of Chris Scala, who just collects multiple drivers behind him. That is a big one, Shane, and that is exactly what the leaders, exactly what they were looking for pretty much, because this is going to make the amount of laps that they need to continue leading out under green even less. This sets up Shane Terrian for the best chance he's had in weeks to get a win here.
Yeah, this is definitely looking good for Shane Terrian. With the long cautions we have, he might only need maybe 1 or 2 more, definitely 2 at the most at this point. And he's got guys like Mark Murphy, Trevor Rapolo, and Bradley Burke behind him. But bad news for him, Corey Hoover's gone up into the 3rd spot, and now he's going to try and set his sights on Shane for the lead here, and we get a restart, which will be huge. And that will be a very interesting thing to watch, the 1st and 3rd place cars.
While we have a moment to talk about London Recreational Contracting, they are the pretty much one of the industry leaders in concrete pool and spa construction. They focus on 3 key factors: quality, creativity, and outstanding customer service. With London Recreational Contracting, they will focus on exactly what you can dream it. And if you can dream it, they can make it happen. Anything you need when it comes to pools, outdoor spa, hot tubs, all kinds of stuff. Definitely check them out. Definitely coming out with a great product there. And there's only so many places that can really get these kinds of things right. You're really good at it, or you're just not so good at it. In London Recreational Contracting, I've seen their stuff firsthand, and they are definitely excellent at bringing the best of the best to your imagination. Also brought to you in part by Control Freak, sponsored with Upper Edge for almost 5 years now. They've been with Upper Edge even since the Upper Edge Xbox 360 days. So definitely check out Control Freak on the web. If you need any type of controller accessories, they've got it all. And remember, this is the Crescent Moon Contracting Sportsman Series here. Race number 6 of 23 for this season, fresh off of the Upper Edge Truck Series last year. This season has been pretty exciting so far, Shane. We've seen anything short from boring, pretty much.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot more enthusiastic, I think is just a different word to describe it, than I really anticipated. I anticipated close racing, but I did not anticipate the kind of finishes we've had to some of these races. We have had just the most chaotic and just craziest finishes I've ever seen, really, on this service in the 3 years I've been on here. And I mean, that's a good thing. That's usually good when you come out here and everyone remembers the finish. And these races haven't gone the greatest sometimes, but then again, some races we've had really, really long runs. This race kind of got off to a rough start. We're back here with long runs, and now you're toward the end of the race. Everyone's trying to get what they can get. That's why we're starting to see more and more cautions, and that's just going to be a product of racing. It's people trying to get everything and going for the skies, but getting nothing really out of it, and that's it's just something we're going to have to watch here.
up on your screen really quick, also, you have the point standings. You can see a tough night for drivers like Andy Glazik, Ryan Dyson, definitely going to hurt them big time, but drivers like Shane Terry, the number 48 of Mark Murphy, a good night, a good finish here is going to detrimentally affect the standings, and it's going to change things and how it looks. They will be moved up towards the top 5 there. Pace car lights are still on. We've got 2 to go till we get the green. We're going to head over to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. We've got the finish right after the break. Welcome everybody back to Checkered Flag Interactive. Steve Bonesteel and Shane Doherty up in the booth here, live at Pocono Raceway for the Pocono 200. The Upper Edge CMC Sportsman Series rolls on here tonight before we go on to a 2-week break, before we go to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve there at Montreal, the road course racing track that is one of the funnest for these old Nationwide cards. Do we still go to the Nationwide cars to that track in real life?
I think it's possible. I don't really necessarily know. They might have changed the schedule up. I know this up and coming year they might have made a move with that track, but it would be something to look up for the future. But nonetheless, that's going to be a cool track to at least see here coming up.
I know we have in the past, and it's one of the favorite tracks for the fans. I mean, it's infamous for where the fan threw the shoe out on the track to impact Danica Patrick's finish, so it's definitely an interesting track. It's a lot of fun. These drivers definitely going to have a lot of fun there. They've got 2 weeks' time to get the practice in. So here, as the pace car lights are off, we're going to have 3 laps of racing left. Can Corey Hoover get around the number 38 and the number 48 on the front row? Trevor Rapolo up there. Austin Hartenfeld's 5th. Andrew Fayosh 6th right now. They've got a wild way to go if they want to get back up to the front, but the pace car will be pulling on in, and everyone watches Shane Terrian here for the start.
So it's going to have to be Shane's best start of the season, and he spins him a little bit, but everyone does. Everyone had some kind of problem on the restart. Here comes Corey Hoover to the inside of Mark Murphy, and the question is, can he get 2 for 1 here coming into turn number 1? He does have those fresher tires.
3 wide and 1 and 2. No wreck in the back of the pack, but things are close up towards the front. Mark Murphy on the outside, Corey Hoover on the inside. He's going to have the preferred line going into the tunnel turn. Andrew Fayosh making his way back up on the inside line, getting the draft on the 33. Here they go into the tunnel turn, diving off into the corner. Mark Murphy giving it everything he's got on the outside line. The 33 is going to get the pass done. 38, Shane Terrian into the wall. 48, Mark Murphy looking underneath the 33, not going to make it happen. Andrew Fayosh in the picture, number 29, getting loose sideways there, saving it in turns 3 and 4.
Austin threw it in there and he paid the price. He's going to have to hold on with Bronson Stafford into the wall off the back at turn number 3. We stay green. But so far, it looks like Corey Hoover is going to try and pull away from the rest of these guys. Mark Murphy's still hanging strong in second, though.
Mark Murphy's got the hard charge in number 77 right behind him. Andrew Fayosh. This is going to be an incredible finish. Can the number 33 continue to pull away? He's got 2 laps. A long distance from here to the finish on this long, tricky triangle. Here he's going to dive it down into the tunnel turn once again. Andrew Fayosh still stuck behind Mark Murphy, who is doing the best he can on older tires. Very impressive job into the outside wall.
Several cars, Shane Terry and Dalton Alexander, all just nail that wall off turn number 2 and try to get everything they can, and they're going to kind of suffer the consequences because of that. They're going to have severe right side damage, and they're going to have to make
Corey Hoover! Sideways! Andrew Fayosh into the wall!
So we got to both talk over each other. Nonetheless, Corey Hoover is going to come away with the advantage in that situation because Andrew Fayosh III hit the wall so hard he loses a spot to Mark Murphy and Trevor Rapolo. And now it's just going to be about getting around the racetrack, and Corey Hoover's going to have this win.
That was incredible, Shane. What a turn of events that was, and somehow, some way, Corey Hoover saved that car.